Hey everyone and welcome. Today we are diving into a topic that's, pretty fundamental to all of us, childbirth and lactation. In this explainer, we're going to break down every key stage, making sure you have exactly what you need to absolutely ace your biology exam.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to follow the whole journey, kicking things off with the final month of pregnancy. Then, we'll move through the process of labor, see what happens right after delivery, and then get into lactation. And of course, we'll wrap it all up with the key takeaways for your exam. Sound good? Let's get started.
All right, let's jump right in. At the very end of that incredible 9-month journey. During this final stage, the body is making all the last-minute, super crucial preparations for the baby's big arrival.
By the 9th month, the fetus is pretty much fully developed, and the uterus has stretched out a lot to make room. But here's the really important part. The fetus usually turns itself upside down, into a head-down position. This is the absolute ideal position for delivery. Why? Well, the baby's head is the biggest part, so once that's out, the rest of the body can follow much more easily.
And this right here shows exactly why that head-down position is so important. Sometimes, the baby is positioned feet first. This is called a breech position. It can definitely make the delivery more complicated because there's a higher chance of issues, like the head getting stuck. So, while it's manageable for doctors, it's not the ideal scenario.
Okay, so the baby is in position, and the body is ready for the main event. Let's move on to the process of childbirth itself, also known as labor. So, what exactly is labor? Well, it's the official name for childbirth, and it all kicks off with one key action. The powerful muscle layers of the uterus start to squeeze and then relax, over and over again in a steady rhythm. You can think of these contractions as the engine that drives this entire process. We can basically break labor down into 3 main stages. First, the labor pains start. Second, the water breaks. And third, the actual delivery of the baby. Let's take a closer look at each one of these.
So, stage 1 begins with those rhythmic contractions we just talked about. Imagine a really powerful muscle working to gently but firmly push the baby down towards the birth canal. That intense muscular work is exactly what's felt as labor pains.
Next up, we have the famous water breaking. See, the baby has been growing inside a protective, fluid-filled bag called the amnion. During labor, that sac ruptures, and all the amniotic fluid is released. This is a really clear signal that birth is getting closer.
And that brings us to the final stage, delivery. At this point, the contractions get a lot stronger and happen much more often. This is what provides the final push needed to move the baby out of the body, through the vagina, and into the world.
No, you might think it's all over once the baby's born, but not quite. The process isn't totally complete yet, which brings us to section 3. What happens after the delivery?
So this might sound a little surprising, but even after the baby has been delivered, the uterus keeps on contracting for a little while longer. And there's a really important reason for this.
See, those final contractions have one more job to do. They push out the placenta. Remember, the placenta was the baby's entire life support system for 9 months. This tissue that gets pushed out is what we call the afterbirth.
Okay, let's talk about that incredible lifeline that connected the baby to the placenta. It's time to talk about the umbilical cord.
The umbilical cord was the baby's all-in-one connection for oxygen and nutrients. But once the baby is born and can breathe on its own, it's not needed anymore. So the doctor simply ties it off or clamps it and then cuts it. And don't worry, this is totally painless for the baby since the cord has no nerves. A small stump of the cord is left attached to the baby's tummy. Over the next few days, this little piece just dries up, shrivels, and falls off all by itself. And that little spot it leaves behind, that's the navel, or what we all know as the belly button, a permanent little reminder of our very first connection to life.
All right, the baby's here. Now it needs its first meal. That brings us to our next section, lactation.
So the very first thing the mother's mammary glands produce isn't actually milk. It's a really special substance called colostrum. It's a bit watery, kind of yellowish, and it's only produced for the first 2 or 3 days after childbirth.
Now pay close attention, because this is a very common exam question. Why is colostrum so important? Well, the simple answer is that it's absolutely packed with antibodies from the mother. It's like the baby's first ever immunization, giving it a huge immune system boost while its own is still getting up and running.
After those first few days of colostrum, the mammary glands then switch over to producing regular milk. Oh, and here's another key point for your exams.
The mother's menstrual cycle, which stops during pregnancy, usually doesn't start again until after milk production stops.
Phew, okay, that's the entire process from the final month right through to the first food. Now let's really drill down on what you need to know to ace your test. It's time for our key exam takeaways.
All right, definition time. These three are non-negotiable. You have to know them. Labor, the rhythmic contractions of the uterus. Afterbirth, the placenta that's pushed out after delivery. And colostrum, that super important first milk that boosts immunity. Got it? Good. Okay, pop quiz time. Here's a classic 2-mark question for you. Why is it important to feed colostrum to a newborn baby? Take a second to think about how you'd answer that. You can even pause right here and try writing it down.
So, how'd you do? Here's what a perfect full marks answer looks like. It's short, it's to the point, and it hits the 2 key ideas. It's the first milk, and its main job is to help develop the baby's immune system. That's it. I really hope this explainer helps you feel way more confident and ready for your exam. Good luck.